Hello lads, hello ladies, and welcome back for another video on the channel. Today we are back with some more Sky Bet League One content, an international break that won't rule us down. We are back for another episode on everything Sky Bet League One. We're a third of the way through this Sky Bet League One season and slowly ticking the game off. It's been a slog to get here. We've had 3 international breaks. We've had the FA Cup. We've had so many distractions, but that's not stopping us. Today, we are going through everything Sky Bet League One, results of the season, the table so far, managerial departures, how managers have come in and done a good job, who could be next to lose their job, and what team are on an upward trend, and what team are on a downward trend. To do so, we are joined by the fantastic Jake Tong from Channel 72 and also That League One podcast. Hello, mate. How are we doing?
I'm good, mate. Before we get on, I just want to pass my congratulations on to your good self for finishing second in the best content creator for the EFL. So well done, Mr. Natman. Congratulations. I'm good, mate. I'm good, thank you. Had a nice day out yesterday. Met Mr. Farley at Stevenage. The less said about the game, the better. But no, looking forward to doing one of these that's not live, so I don't have the comment section abusing me whilst we do it. But no, looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, get abusing me in the comments down below. It takes a change. Also, the award is up there. Thank you so much for everyone who voted. Honestly, when I got that award, I was thinking they're a bit like MBEs. They're giving them out to everyone these days. So thank you so much for everyone that voted, that supports this channel. A big thank you to this man next week. Every week he comes on this channel. We give him the stick, and he's fantastic. And I love him to bits. And for the fact he just makes me look better than I actually am. So, Jake, thank you so much. And a big thank you to the T-Lot boys as well that that help us out behind the scenes as well. But
Did
Jake,
you start your speech with "Hello, lads and ladies" when you did the thank you?
There wasn't a speech because I finished second. But if there would have been, it would have come in there. And you don't worry, you wasn't the script, Jake. Don't you worry. I'd have found a little morsel of my time for you. But let's get on. Again, we're going to start off with the bottom part of the table first. Reading occupying that bottom part of the table. Cheltenham just above. Cheltenham off the bottom. That would have been Darrell Clarke's first game. Although they picked up a little bit recently, 2 results, 2 draws, 2 defeats. There's been a couple of drummings in there, hasn't there, in other cup competitions as well. I think it's been an okay start, but they have to pick it up again if they're going to stay up, don't they?
Yeah, although to be fair to Darrell Clarke, Ben, he has done really well since he's come in because whilst there have been some drubbings, the performances generally have been positive. You know, Darrell Clarke came in when they hadn't scored a goal. He's got them scoring. They've scored 2 in a couple of games now. They scored 2 at Blackpool as well. He's got them scoring goals and he's got them thinking about getting points on the board. And, you know, I keep up to date with Cheltenham through our friend Matty, and they look like they're playing a lot better. The results might not be coming as quickly, but they don't have to when you're down that end of the table, I suppose. So I think Darrell Clarke's a really good appointment. I also think that the addition of Tom Pett is a very good addition for Cheltenham. He's a bloke that I know really well, having played at Lincoln, done really well at this level for Port Vale as well. So, yes, I think Darrell Clarke is making the desired impact that the Cheltenham board would have wanted when he first took the job.
Bang on, agree. I'm Reading are 2 points below, 10 points of Madrid. I worry for them. I really do. I know a takeover is looming, but I think realistically 43 points from 30 games, it is achievable to get 50 points, which you'd imagine will be safe. You know, other seasons, 40 points and goal differences kept you up. Last season, around 48, 49 points would have kept you up, you know, just in the end as well. I think 50 is your safety marker. So for Reading, I see him struggling. Ruben Sellers, I think if a takeover happens, I could see a managerial casualty there happening. You saw it at Oxford, the takeover happened. Carl Robinson stayed in his post for a little bit, but it took a little while for him to go out the building. It always kind of feels like when new owners came in, you're not our man. Or you get someone else. Look at Birmingham in the Championship. Going on to Carlisle and Fleetwood, Jake, who are showing a bit of positive light. Paul Simpson doing a really good job at Carlisle. They have lost, 4 of the last 5. all 1-0. They're sickening games, struggling to score goals, but they can pull a piece of magic out the hat, against Peterborough, against Burton, away at Bolton as well. And they've been fighting 14 points from the first 17. They like a lot of late goals, mainly through Joe Garner.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Carlisle when they played against us, and it hasn't surprised me at all that they've gone on to win some games at this level. They were winless, I think, when we played them. But they have done well. I think they've adapted to the level pretty well. I think Owen Moxon is showing why he's capable at this level. Jordan Gibson's doing similar, and they have got options there. And the thing that I like about Carlisle is, and a lot of people use this reason to hold them back, but they've got a lot of continuity at the club. They've got the manager that got them promoted. They brought back the loanees. They might not all be playing, but to have a similar group, it galvanizes the dressing room, and they know what they're going to do when they all step on the pitch. So, they have had some great results. The one against Bolton is a massive standout. I'm starting to think I put Carlisle to get relegated this year, and I'm starting to think maybe that was a bit of a poor take, because they are within the chance of safety. I don't think that's a stretch for Carlisle to be in this league for 24-25.
If they keep sticking in games, I really agree. They've just got to get that first goal sometimes. And Fleetwood were a bit the same. A win over Exeter in a game that early on in the season under Scott Brown they had lost. I'm interested to hear your take on this, Jake. Lee Johnson's come in 10 games, 4 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats. Lost his first one at home to Oxford. Lost to Lincoln and we lost to Wycombe at home. So he's unbeaten away from home, which is a good statistic as well. We played, quite a few away games under Lee Johnson as well. Fleetwood have lost to 3 decent sides. Let's be honest, right? Lincoln are a good side, Wycombe are a good side, Oxford are a phenomenal side. What's your thoughts? Because he's brought a little bit of a feel-good factor to the football club.
Yeah, again, similar job to Darryl Clark. I think he's done wonders since coming into Fleetwood. Your performances, I said all along, even under Scott Brown, some of the performances were good. I think about the one at Charlton. I think you were incredibly lucky not to come away from that game with a point. But Lee Johnson sort of built on those foundations, and he's had, he's benefited from having some informed attacking players, right? Whereas I don't think Scott Brown had the use of those at the start of the season. So Turner coming in and ripping it up at Barnsley and playing well against us and etc. And then you've got Jack Marriott, who's been finding the net under Lee Johnson more frequently than he probably did under Scott Brown. So I've been impressed. I said to you after the game that when we beat you, I said I was impressed with the way you played. You backed that up. You got a point at Oakwell. You won at Reading. You won against Exeter at home. So look, we've always said, Ben, that Fleetwood have a squad to stay up. And I wouldn't be surprised if you finish towards the top end of the lower half, really, because you've got a very good squad and a manager that knows how to get results at this level. But really impressed with Lee Johnson and what he's done since coming in to the COD Army.
I do believe Lee Johnson is a streaky manager. Let's be honest about that. He can go on streaks of getting results and not getting results. But I said as soon as he came in, all we needed to go is a streak on results, get out the bottom 4, we'll stay out of there. And I keep saying, we're out of it, and we're not. So, again, it doesn't matter at this stage. It's still 30 games. It's a crazy amount, 90 points still to play for. I still think Fleetwood will get over 55, pushing 60 points. I think Carlisle will stay up. I do think that opens the door for an Exeter, a Northampton, a Cambridge, a Vale, a Shrewsbury. Now, I've just said 5 of the next 6, bar Wigan. Wigan, I think, will be absolutely fine. I think they could finish in the top 12. Let's be honest, they're on, 18 points? That would be 27 without deductions. 26, without deductions. You got an 8 point, not a 9 point. There's always a mistake on this channel, isn't there? Exeter, again, in the first 8 games, they were brilliant. They were top of the league with Port Vale. Since then, conceded 18 goals in their last kind of 8 games or so. Expected goals has come down. Expected goals conceded has come up. Shots on target gone down as well. They just seem very flat. They've lost Nombe. They lost Dimitri Mitchell to an injury. Do you think injuries are causing this? Gary Colwell, full backing of the Exeter City board. They've never sacked a manager in 20 plus years. What's he thinking? It's a fan-owned club. They're doing well to be in League One, but they're just plummeting, aren't they? And the feel-good factor around the football club 2 months ago has just deteriorated.
Yeah, it reminds me, Ben, and if you can remember this from a couple of years ago when Cambridge were near the top about 10 games in, and then all of a sudden they completely plummeted and stayed up on the last day when they was it last year where they beat with Forest Green on the last day. Yeah, it sort of reminds me a little bit of that, and I think Exeter are going to have a similar season. I think Caldwell's had a lot of unfortunate ongoings at Exeter. In terms of he lost his star loanee from last year, we lost his striker that scored a load of goals in Sam Nombe. Didn't have Giovanni Brown available for half the season either. They do play good football, man, because they have got some good players. Ryan Trevitt is a very good footballer. Mitchell is a good footballer. Scott is a good footballer, and Hartridge and Zach Jules, etc. They can play at this level. They're just not finding the right consistency, and I'm not sure whether that's the way that Gary wants to play or whether it's the opposition they're coming up against are just outclassing them. But again, and I say this about the team that are in the bottom half, I was really impressed when they played us. I'm starting to think that maybe we're just rubbish, but they are a very good side, I think. And if they can get one win, I think they'll go and get 2 or 3. And they're one of those streaky teams, a bit like Fleetwood will be. But I am concerned for Exeter. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, absolutely. When you look at Northampton as well, they seem like a side that I know they got battered away at Derby, but they are losing a lot of games, but they're losing games by a goal. And it's like, well, you just need to get the first goal sometimes. So I think Northampton, out of a lot of those teams, I think will be the most okay. Port Vale have got a very talented team. They've got good loan players. All Blast is very, very good. They've got Divine, who's been terrific, and scored some really, really nice goals. They went away at Oxford and won in a crazy game for sending off goals, late drama, and I really like them, and I think they'll be okay. I think they've got the fan base there to really drive them home. Shrewsbury, I do worry about, but I ask myself, 20 points, 18 games played for the Shrews. It's not a bad return. Let's be honest about it, but it's the football they're playing, and it's a bit like when you get results now and again. Would they take staying up? Would they take 16th in the league? I know they played more games than everyone else. They probably would take 16th. They want a bit more ambition after a good couple of years under Steve Cotterill. But losing a really talented manager is very hard as well. And I don't think they improved the team as much as other teams did that were around them last season and teams that are above them. So I do struggle for them. I do see Matty Taylor staying for the full season. Now, I don't think they're gonna change it, but they kind of go on a flurry. Do you know what I mean? Where they'll go and get 7 points out of 9, then get battered away at Blackpool, but then they can pull a 2-0 lead back against Reading, win 3-2, beat Derby, and that will save Matt Taylor's kind of bacon for a bit. It reminds me very much of Scott Brown last season, where the football's not particularly great, young coach, taking a while to learn, but he's getting the odd win, and it's kind of keeping him away from safety, Jake.
Yeah, he's sort of prolonging his execution a little bit by making some really good performances and results out the bag. I think there are underlying circumstances at Shrewsbury with the whole complete change of strategy over the summer. They got rid of their old chief exec. They brought in a director of football, and they really went from the manager mould to the head coach mould. And I think that is a difficult transition when you appoint a head coach from a manager. We sort of had it, if you look at the start that Appleton had at Lincoln, he was a head coach to what we had previously with Danny Cowley, who did everything. And then you go to Appleton, who's just in charge of the on the grass stuff. It is a difficult switch. And I think Shrewsbury are sort of going through those sort of changes in recent weeks. But they have been able to get some good results, like the one against Derby, like the one against Reading. But they just do enough to keep themselves afloat, which is why I'm starting to think that they probably won't get relegated. They're probably going to be lingering around 16th, 17th, 18th. Sorry, because they can pull a result out of the bag. And I think they'll give Matty Taylor time because it's a new model, it's a new strategy. So, yeah, but the football they are playing is concerning. You'd imagine you have to give a manager 3 transfer windows, Ben, to see what they really like. And that would mean giving Matty Taylor next summer as well. So in a year's time, if we have the same concerns about Shrewsbury, then it might well be time to change Matty Taylor's position.
they're not scoring goals. They scored 10 goals all season, which is the second lowest, but they're conceding goals now as well, which is the big worry as well. 2 at home to Reading, 4 against Blackpool yesterday afternoon. Only Reading on 28 have conceded more. Fleetwood, were the worst on 25 a couple of weeks ago. So, they've rapidly gone down a little bit of weeks. It's weird because Cambridge, Burton and Orient are all on 20 points. I know less games. Orient played 16, Burton, Cambridge played 17, but Orient feel miles away from those other clubs. Burton seem the closest to Orient, but I fancy Orient to go and get 60 points this season. I really do. And in my unpopular opinions the other day, I said they're probably the only team that I don't think will flirt with either the top 6. No disrespect. I think squad depth, losing Jordan Graham is a big loss. Can play in multiple different positions. He can play in the midfield 3, out on the right. Our front 3 can play right wing back like he did away at Carlisle and did really well for that last 10, 15 minutes to see the result out. But I'd see them nowhere near the bottom 4 at any point. And, they're only 4 points off, but they feel like they've been comfortable. And it kind of feels like anything now can happen in Sky Bet League One. Orient have come in, started poor, remember, a few really bad results. Away at Wycombe 3-2, at home to Portsmouth 4-0. They've had the defeat against Oxford recently, but they've gone on a little bit of a good run. Wins away at Carlisle was a good one as well.
Yes, I was impressed with Orient for the 80 minutes that I've seen them, and they've backed that up. They've had a lot of good performances, and like you say, Ben, they're 4 points off the drop, but they're one of those that you think, yeah, they're too good to get dragged into it, because the individuals that they've got, like Joe Pigott, is not a player that, if he's fit and firing, is down the bottom end of League One. Jordan Graham is the same, Mel Mazzuni, Raul Sartori as well. So they've got some good players, and I think they play a good brand of football under Richie Wellens. I think the home form for Orient is going to be key. It always is for newly promoted sides. That they need to make Brisbane Road a bit of a fortress. They've sort of dipped off in the last couple of weeks, obviously losing against Oxford. But if they can start winning a couple more games at home, I think Orient will make it more comfortable. But I think you're right. They're one of those that aren't going to be anywhere near the bottom 4, but I also don't think they're going to be good enough to break into the top 6. So you'd expect them to come around middle of the pack. I think that's fair.
Yeah, bang on. And I think Wycombe, going on to Wycombe now, obviously I've watched them as Fleetwood. I've watched them, numerous times, back after, games are finished, for these shows. They've been inconsistent. They started the season poorly, went on a good run, got 20 points out of 10. A couple of draws lately away at Peterborough, lost to Bolton at home, but they are in games, they are scoring goals, just conceding, a few more than, Wycombe normally do. But these next kind of batch of 6 or 7 games are huge for them leading up to, the end of the year. They've got Reading at home next week. Reading, the only team, in the league yet to get a point away from home. Then they've got a trip to Oakwell on the Tuesday, which is a very tough game. But teams that are kind of similar to Barnsley have won there this season. Your Blackpools, your Oxfords, your Peterboroughs, your Portsmouths. And then they've got Shrewsbury, Derby away, which will be a tough one. Port Vale extra away. Orient away. So there is some tough games in there, but opportunities for Wycombe to get points on the board. Charlton now, I'll let you handle that one. They're also on 22 points, Jake. Michael Appleton's gone in there, a man that you know a lot about. It seems when things go well at Charlton for Michael Appleton, they will go well. But when you don't go so well, I can kind of see it turning a bit sour for the man that Michael Appleton is. He's done a really good job. I don't think Dean Holden should have been sacked, I will say that. But the improvement they've made has been a remarkable one. Alfie May has scored 12 in 15, and he's a goal scorer at this level, 55 in 100 League One games, 27 in 39 this year. How important has Alfie May been? How important has George Dobson been? But how important has Michael Appleton been this season?
Well, I'll start on Alfie May. He's integral to the way that they play, because if you watch Charlton, they play with it's sort of like a 4-2-3-1, Ben, with Alfie May in the hole, which is really bizarre, with a double pivot of Fraser and Dobson, who I'll come on to in a second. But, he's scored, 12 goals from that position in number basically playing as a number 10 off Miles Leeburn. And it's really impressive. He's such a fox in the box. He knows where the back of the net is, and he's proved that for Cheltenham. And sometimes when a player moves to a bigger club and there's more expectation on them and there's a transfer fee involved, some players sort of get the pressure and they feel it. My best example would be Romelu Lukaku when he went to Man United and then he went to Chelsea. He was going to be the main man and he sort of fell under the pressure. Alfie May's completely thrived under being Charlton's number 9, and it shows you the character he is. George Dobson, again, similar, done really well, really key in the way that Charlton recycle the ball and the way that Charlton are able to get from A to B so quickly. He completely dominates any midfield game that he's in, apart from a couple of weeks ago on a Tuesday where he came up against the Ethan Compound, as I like to call them. But again, Michael Appleton, I think he's got in there and completely changed the way that Charlton are playing. Under Dean Holden, they were sort of quite defensive and very sort of cautious in terms of attacking and going for the jugular, whereas under Appleton they completely go for the jugular now, and you can see that in games against Portsmouth. They were really good going forward and probably could have scored a couple more than 2. They played really well against us. They beat Reading 4-0, didn't they, as well? So I think Appleton's brought an element of ruthlessness to this Charlton side, but he's got the squad to do it, Ben, because I predicted Charlton top 6. You probably predicted Charlton top 6. They've got the squad. They now just need to go on the run to go and achieve that.
Now, obviously, Charlton are 11th, Lincoln are 10th. It was the opposite way round last season, wasn't it? Where Charlton finished 10th, Lincoln just missed out on that top 10. And
Progress.
Got top 10. It is, but it is a bit of progress. 23 points from 17. I know the table is lying a little bit at this moment because it's not even games. We'll know more at Christmas. We really will. New manager in charge, Kennedy gone. Took you long enough, a month. But top 10. And you don't feel like you've got going yet, and you feel a bit disappointed sometimes, and you feel a bit agitated. You'd obviously be proud of certain moments, beating Fleetwood, your cup final, beating Charlton at home as well. So, you seem a really good side. Does this testify how far Lincoln have come in this last kind of 2 years, where you're struggling with down at the bottom near us, just 18 months ago, wasn't you, in that season? Now you're kind of getting agitated because you're 4 points off the playoffs after 16/17 games.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it does show amazing progress from the football club that we're disappointed. And you're right, Ben. I don't think we have got going at all properly this year. I look at our star players. Ericsson's been poor recently. Hamilton's not had the best couple of weeks. Danny Mandroy has been poor this year. And we've not had a striker. If we had a fit striker, Ben, you do wonder where we could be. And unfortunately, Kennedy had to lose his job because the football was really defensive and really sort of just dull as dishwater. To be honest, it was. It was just really. We have the attacking. We have the ability to go after teams and score goals, but we just never were. Like, our attacking output was horrific under Mark Kennedy, and we brought in Skabala, who has an attacking philosophy from Leeds United. He plays with a 4-back, so we'll have to get used to playing with 4 at the back. There were glimpses yesterday against Stevenage. First half was exceptional. The way we zipped the ball around, it looked like a completely different team. We made opportunities, probably could have scored a couple of goals. And then second half, they sort of ran through us. We need to get a bit more physical, and set pieces are going to be something he's got to work on. But the problem Skabala's got, and it's not something like Des Buckingham's got at Oxford, he's walked into 4 games in 14 days. And what can you really change in such a short turnaround? You can't. So I think he's a manager we have to wait. I think we have to wait, and we are 4 points off the playoffs. There is an opportunity this year, but I would suspect that this year is a sort of an opportunity to see what players he wants to keep and what players he doesn't. And then next season is going to be the real big push where I'd expect us to be. We're in that season, Ben, if you can remember, a bit similar to Bolton a couple of years ago when they finished 9th. I think we're a very similar side to that. And next year, I think we'll go and assault the top 6. But we have to give the manager time. And there were signs yesterday, but there were also some problems yesterday with set pieces again, which I'm not surprised at. But yes, I think the club have made tremendous progress over the last 18 months. To be disappointed and be sat in 10th is still very good. Although when games even out, we could be like 13th. So we'll have to wait and see.
I think it's a terrific shout, a bit like the Bolton. They finished 73 points, which normal seasons will be about 4 points off the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get that.
Season, that season, 6th got 83 points. Plymouth missed out and got 80. Got beat on the last year of the season to MK Dons and missed out. Quickly, Bristol Rovers now. Joey Barton got sacked just before Mark Kennedy, was it? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a week
Just
before.
after.
Was it just after? It was around about the same time. Now, Andy Mangan's gone in, and I know he's got 7 points out of 9. I really do. He is a Fleetwood cult hero. He scored a lot of goals for us in the National League. He did very well as a coach. I've actually been in a session with Andy Mangan when I was at the Fleetwood Town Community Trust, and he's a likable fella, and I would say he's an unbelievable number 2, because under Joey can be the bad guy, the tough guy, and he's the one that gets him under his shoulder and goes, come here. You do this, you go and prove him wrong. We'll do this. I'll take you to the training session. I don't think he is right long term for them. He is a nice Joey Barton. That's what I'd say about it. And I kind of think they need someone fresh, someone to come in, a bit like you've done with Skabala, who's coming in, walked into a difficult job, like you say, in difficult circumstances. I think he's got a good squad. I don't think he's inherited, someone like a Darrell Clark has, or if Ruben Sellers left Reading, they're walking in. You've got a talented squad. Bristol Rovers have got a talented squad. I do see them, if this appointment is right, it could be a real, coup for them, because they are close to the playoffs. They can go and get results, and they can go on a bit of a run, Bristol Rovers. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Blackpool and Derby, Jake, sit outside the top 6. Do you see any of those getting in? Because Derby improved a bit of late, a couple of really good results against Northampton and Barnsley. Blackpool beat Shrewsbury yesterday. Dembele, and they played a front 2, which obviously they always do in a 3-5-2, but to have Dembele in there as well with CJ Hamilton, it was a bit more attacking and a bit more front foot, and that's what Blackpool need to do. And they won 4-0. Don't change it now, eh?
Yeah, to be honest, Ben, I think there's an argument for seeing both of them fall into the top 6, because we're saying how bad Derby are, but they're level on points with Barnsley. And Barnsley, I'm sure we'll come on to. I'm sure you're going to praise them for a good start under a manager. And then Blackpool, they've come down from the Championship. They're probably the best out of the 3 sides that have come down. And they're still trying to find their feet under Critchley, but you have to remember a couple of years ago the run they went on. After pretty much from this sort of the period in time to the end of the season, they were relentless, and you'd expect them to be able to do something similar, although despite a slightly different playing squad. So I think there are cases for both of them to be in that shout. They both had, we're not really blown away by either side, and they're literally a matter of points out of the top 6. So with a good January window, and with the squads gelling a bit more, I think you've got every possibility that both of those could finish in the top 6. But I would definitely back one of them to do it, at least.
Barnsley, again, are kind of hit and miss. They've been better lately, really good away from home. One of the better records away from home as well, which is good to see. They're still using the wing backs, kind of still playing the same way. Different coach, new ideas, different players, but again, kind of the same identity, which is always good to see. Peterborough look different this year, and I said that in my last video as well. 22 points from their last 11, a 5-0 win over their local rivals. Cambridge beat them in the cup earlier on in the year as well. Won away at Bloomfield Road. They seem to be getting their act together. They beat Lincoln, and it's good to see. Stevenage as well. This side keep going, and I know they beat you yesterday. Big goal, regular Reedy, as Gab Sutton said yesterday. He's a big player for them. 32 points now. The first target will obviously have to be 50 points. They dropped off a little bit, but by dropping off, they've only lost 4 games. They drew a couple, lost away at Bloomfield Road. And this is the side that people are going, they'll drop off. And Wardy kept saying about Oxford. I know they're not, but could they?
Potentially. They play a very unique brand of football. They know what they are. They know what they can do. They know how to bend the rules in their own advantage, as you will, with towels, but we won't move on to that. They're effective at what they do, mate. They've got some good players. Big goal Reedy, like you mentioned. I thought Jordan Roberts was excellent yesterday. He's such a player who, with a ball at his feet, you'll see next week, Ben, when you play them at your place, how quick he moves the ball from A to B. I thought Farley was joking, but he is so rapid with the ball. Defensively, they can play the ball around really nicely as well, and they sort of can smother you. And the thing is with Stevenage, Ben, they've got options on the bench. So, like for example, yesterday, Ben Thompson, Louis Thompson, Forster Caskey didn't start. All came on, made a difference. So, Stevenage just seemed to be motoring on, and it's hard to give Steve Evans credit because he's not someone that I give a lot of time to, but he has got this Borough side playing better and playing effective, winning football. And there were Lincoln fans walking out the ground yesterday saying, "Oh, I wouldn't want to watch that every week." Well, I would want to watch it if it meant Lincoln were winning and were on 32 points from 18 games. So 2 points a game as well, Ben, pretty much nearly. Do that for the rest of the season, they're going to be in the top 6, whether you like it or you don't.
1.3 goals per game as well, under 1 goal conceded per game as well. Good at home, strong away. Good defence record. Good. Players playing in the right positions. Wing backs playing. He can play a back 4, can play a back 5. Good assistant manager as well, and it just seemed like the dream team. And Steve Evans should go absolutely nowhere. Stevenage fans adore him. He's done so much for them. They've done so much for him. Why ruin it? Because does Steve Evans really need money? I don't think so. I know money does talk, as Neil Diamond would say. But for me, stay somewhere where you're going to adore. And if he took Stevenage to the Championship, that would be up there with Yeovil getting to the Championship, with Burton getting to the Championship. I know they've got a competitive League One budget, I'd say, this year. And I'm not saying top 6 by any stretch. I'm saying with the likes of a Lincoln, a Fleetwood, a competitive buy that should stay in League One quite comfortably on 55, 60 points. But to be 4th is ridiculous, and it's so good to see. So well done to Steve Evans and his Stevenage side. Bolton are unbelievable. I have said this after 3 games. Bolton will win League One. I am very confident of that. They've won 11 out of 16. They've won the last 5, kept 3 consecutive clean sheets, beat the local rivals Blackpool last week as well. There is a blip with Bolton, and it feels like very Wiggany of 2 seasons ago, but bounce back ability is there. They need another striker in January, I feel, a refresh in January, but the last 2 windows in January, Bolton have kind of got into the playoffs in it and finished, went on a good run. The season before, where you referenced, earlier on in the show, where they finished 9th. So January will be huge for them, but I just see Bolton pipping it. They're only a point behind Portsmouth. No Manning, no problem. Des Buckingham has come in at Oxford. He's same philosophy. He shared ideas with Liam Manning. He's walked in as an Oxford fan. It just feels right, and it just kind of feels this could be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very fun. Yes, he's also to mention, Ben, he's an Oxford boy, so he's an Oxford fan, and there's not many better feelings than a supporter who's so talented in terms of coaching. Comes the manager of your club. It's a phenomenal feeling, and he was favourite for our job at one point, so I did a bit of digging into what he does. He's a qualified ski instructor. He's a qualified pilot. He's got a PhD in coaching. He's a very intelligent bloke.
Seems like in between us.
I watched a lot of his Mumbai training sessions and Mumbai teams, and he plays a great brand of football. I think it says a lot that this week he's been to Oxford, back to India, back to Oxford, and then Friday night he was at the under-18 game for the Youth Cup. So it shows that Oxford is in his blood. I think it's going to be really exciting. It's a similar brand of football. They've got an unbelievable squad that know what they're doing in terms of playing that way, in terms of pressing that way. I think Oxford are going to have a lot of fun under Buckingham. It might take a bit of period to adjust, but once they're in full-fledged, this Oxford side are going to be dangerous, more dangerous than they already are.
Portsmouth, we keep saying Bolton are really good. Oxford have done well, but the top of the league, won 10 out of 16, drawn the other 6. There's been bumps in the road, and they've not done it pretty, but they've grinded out results and made sure they've won the game. And, been a bit of a hard watch at times. And, you're leaving the ground thinking, oh, me angina, how can I do it? But they keep getting these results. And if Portsmouth don't keep losing games of football. They're going to stay up there. And if you keep getting 2 points per game, and you're probably looking at Portsmouth getting another 60 points now, Jake. So these next few games, Portsmouth are tough. You've got Blackpool at home, you've got Burton away, Northampton away, Bolton at home, and Shrewsbury away coming up. So very, very tough games. I know they've got a trip to Bristol. We got to go there before the end of the year, and I know they've got to play Exeter just before the new year, comes in. This is a really, really talented squad. They've lost Regan, replaced him already. I think it's hard to replace Regan, let's be honest. How far can this Portsmouth side go? I think they'll get promoted, but I don't think they'll win the league. But I can see them doing similar to not as far as an Ipswich, but I can see them going up and being comfortable in the Championship.
Yeah, I think so. They're a good side. They've got, Massinio's got them all singing off the same hymn sheet. They've had a bit of rotten luck in the last couple of weeks with injuries to Regan, like you mentioned, and Tino Anjurin as well. It's a shame, really, this weekend got called off because I was looking forward to seeing Pompey Oxford. That's going to be one hell of a game when that kicks off. But they're a very good side, mate. They know what they're doing. When they're playing at Fratton Park, like you mentioned, they've got that 12th man, and it's pretty much unstoppable. You can block as many shots as you want. You can have your goalkeeper play an outstanding game, but that Fratton end sucks the ball in. And to be honest, Ben, even their travelling fans do something similar with the bell and the numbers and the voice. So, yeah, they're an outstanding side. Can I see them going up and doing what Ipswich are doing? Not quite. I can see them being middle of the road Championship side if they get it. If they get their act together, but it's something good is going on at Portsmouth, and boy, don't we know it.
Absolutely so. And we've tried to cover every team, in this show as well. In under 40 minutes, a bit of a shorter show than the usual hour, around 10 minutes or so. Now, I asked Jake before we came on we kind of picked out 5 or 6 results, to kind of go through, and we had 22 results, from we had at least one from every match week. Honourable mentions go to, Orient 2, Oxford 3. Liam Manning left the football club earlier in the week. They won there. Peterborough winning at Blackpool 4-2. Blackpool, drawing 3-3 away at Fleetwood. Peterborough losing at home to Derby 4-2. Portsmouth winning away at Orient 4-0. There was, Portsmouth even beating Peterborough 3-1. Fleetwood beating Orient 1-0. First win for over 6 months. Blackpool hammering Reading. Reading beating Bolton at home. Stevenage beating Derby. Stevenage are 5 points in front of Derby. I know they played 2 games more, but I'd rather have 5 points. Derby beating Barnsley, showing everyone can win at 1 point in the season. The 5 we picked out. Jake, do you want to discuss one of your games that you picked out?
I'm trying to remember them. I'm going to go Bolton.
Recently, 2-0 down.
Hey, who were 2-0 down?
And he scored 2 goals in 2 minutes.
Oh, Shrewsbury. Yeah, come on. Up the salad.
And this is why I want silver, by the way. I need to get goals. Wardy?
Yeah, no.
Wardy? I need you out, mate. I need you out.
Yeah, no, it was a good game, wasn't it? And it was a big result for Shrewsbury because they don't score many goals. They were looking down the barrel of another home defeat, and I think it's Sraha, who they signed from Barnsley in the summer, scored a night. I mean, he took it down really well. So yeah, it was a great result for Shrewsbury. To be 2-1 down in injury time and to win the game 3-2, it's got to go in there. And it's a better 3-2 for me than Pompey Reading. It's a better 3-2 than that because the outcome of the game changes in a matter of 4 minutes. So for me, it has to be up there.
I think you also need to discuss, Bolton winning away at Wycombe. I know you'd expect them to, but it was a superb result, that. Barnsley beating Port Vale 7-0. We keep mentioning it, so I won't kind of go into detail on that one. Bolton losing at home to Wigan. And Bolton are being mentioned quite a lot for losing games. that shows you how good Bolton are if you beat them and, beat them convincingly. Like, Wigan did, like Carlisle did. That's another one in that top 5. And that shows you how good Bolton are. Wigan were fantastic against Bolton, and they just got the number on their local rivals. Carlisle to go there with, nearly 4,500 travelling supporters, being in League One, a proud day. Jordan Gibson getting a hat-trick, a perfect day. In Lancashire, it's not Greater Manchester at all. It's Lancashire. Peterborough, I think, would have to be my result of the season, if I'm honest with you. Beating the local rivals 5-0. I know you'd expect them to beat them 8 times out of 10, but for me, 5-0 against your local rivals, you cannot beat it. And 5 past Cambridge will be a running joke now. For all posh fans. Any other mentions that you'd like to say that we may have not already discussed, Jake? Forgetting Lincoln against Fleetwood.
I think you probably have to throw the Reading 2 Pompey 3 game into that. Reading Pompey were 2-0 down and won the game 3-2. I don't think you mentioned the Peterborough win at Blackpool either.
Yeah, 4-2.
The 4-2. That's a really good result, and they were, pretty much unstoppable going forward that day. There's been a lot of good results, Ben, in League One this year. You've gone through it this morning and picked out about 15, 20, and it's pretty difficult to name them on the spot. But there's been some great, another great game, Wycombe 3, Orient 2. Wycombe's first win under Bloomfield was a bit of an emotional roller coaster. So there's been lots of good games, mate. And you know what? The best part is we're only a third of the way through the season, so we've still got another 30, 40 barnstormers to come.
Jake, thank you so much as ever for giving up your time. Jake, any final words you'd like to say before? Obviously, we'll be back here live next week after another busy match week. There's a double game week, next week as well. 3 games in a week. Well, with the FA Cup, some aren't quite in that. I thought I'd get that in there. Any final words?
No, mate. Just nice to jump on, and thank you very much for having me. And again, congratulations on your recent award. It's well deserved.
Absolutely. And if you would like to see more of Jake, you can come over to That League One podcast over on Spotify and find us on all the best streaming podcast sites as well. Follow us on Twitter at That League One podcast. I have been Cos Vlogs. Jake has been Jake Tong. And thank you so much as ever. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.